Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? As promised, here is my high meat video. Some people have been curious how I make high liver, high meat, and I've had some other questions, some interest in this, and I wanted to make it anyway. So here it goes. How do I make it? Well, I use these jars with the seal that doesn't work very well, but that's what I use. I suppose you could use whatever container you feel comfortable using. This is just how I do it, how I've seen some other people do it. There are different ways of doing it, right? This is just my experience. Anyway, the whole process will end up being a little bit messy, no matter how you do it, I suppose. So be ready for that. The juices will start flowing as things degrade and decompose, and you might not even like the smell. Let me see this one. I don't know. It smells good to me by now. Anyway, this liver here is grass-fed lamb liver. It's not very old. I don't know exactly. It's not quite a month old. Most of these aren't. Here you could kind of see what it looks like. Not too bad yet. Just kind of looks like spoiled meat. What's it taste like? I don't know. You could tell it's still early in the process if you have any experience with this. It's starting to taste a little funky. There's this strong umami taste building up. It's a little bit bitter, very mellow, mild still, apart from the umami taste. And the thing with this is that the animals whose liver I use, they come from various sources, and they're not all the same anyway, different types of animals. So there's going to be a lot of variety, at least where I come from. If you're getting your liver or meat from the same producer all the time, it's likely that there's going to be a lot less variety. For me, there's a lot of variety, and every single one of these is different, very different. And, a lot depends on, I suppose, I would know how much air you have in the jar versus meat, the types of bacteria that happens to get in there on the day, right? And look, if you're touching it with your fingers, if you eat it a little bit, right, and you put the fork in your mouth and put it back in there, for example, you're introducing other bacteria. There's a lot of, it's not always the most controlled experiment, is what I'm trying to say, right? Things happen, the weather changes, sometimes even your fridge will be a different temperature, so on and so forth. And certain bacteria might proliferate more successfully at a lower temperature, but then as the temperature rises, the rate of growth of that bacteria might not be proportional to the rate of growth of another bacteria, right? So depending on the temperature and all these other factors, the bacterial profile will probably be different, also contributing to variation in taste. So from what I heard, most people say to have a lot more air in the jar than the liver. Like this one is not quite half and half anymore. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but we'll get to that in just a second. I don't know. You can try it. The way I've done it generally is I would put only about this much in the jar and the rest would be air. Just my experience. So this lamb liver, I kind of jam-packed these jars. They're all about halfway full because I didn't have enough jars and I had a lot of meat, so I kind of packed them tightly. But because of that, what I'll do is because you have to open this to air it out, I guess. You want an aerobic environment in there, right? You don't want an anaerobic environment. You want the bacteria to feed on oxygen, I suppose. I don't know exactly. But what I'll do is before I open it up, I'll take the jar and I'll shake it around, move the liver around in there. You know, sometimes I'll stir it up just to be sure that every little piece gets air, right? And because I have them so jam-packed, I do this every day for just I don't know, 10, 20 seconds. That's how I do it. The first time I made liver, there was a period, it was 4 months old, high liver, and I left it in the fridge. I just forgot about it because I was sick for a month, and nothing happened, right? But it was only about a third of the way full, the jar was. So just to be sure all the liver gets enough air, I'll stir it around. And as it's fermenting, I'm also consuming it little by little every day. So eventually I'll end up with less liver in the jar, right? I'm not saying you should do it like this. This is just how I do it. So lamb liver, well, maybe we'll still keep it here. But anyway, I don't know how well you can tell. The lighting isn't the best. There we go. They're slightly different color. This is goat's liver. It's darker, and I'm not saying it's darker because it's goat liver. Probably has a lot to do with age and with the animal age, so on and so forth. Anyway, this is one of our goats. She was 6 years old. I'm going to put a picture up of this tallow we pulled off this goat. We had to call her because she had serial, this is what I'm going to call it, serial pseudo-pregnancy syndrome. Serial pseudo-pregnancy syndrome. So basically, over and over again, she would go on a date with one of our bucks. Then her belly would blow up, she'd look pregnant, and then maybe a week or two before her due date, her water would break, and that's how that would come out, right? So she just suffered from serial fake pregnancy, basically. She wasn't making milk. Obviously, she wasn't making babies, so she was just getting fat, right? And she ate well, and because her body wasn't asked to work very much, right? Dedicate nutrition to milk or the babies. It seems to me like she deposited a lot of vitamins and nutrients in her fat, her liver, whatever, everywhere. Like we sold some of the meat. People came back to us saying how especially delicious this goat was. Again, the fat is really rich and very, very rich yellow. So there's got to be a lot of vitamins and minerals and whatever's in there, right? It's richer than the type of fat you usually pull off a goat that's producing milk and making babies. And this liver, even though this was a 6 or 7 year old goat, so not young exactly, this liver is very soft. It has there's less resistance when you chew it. You know, when you eat raw liver, it's a weird texture. It's kind of like nothing else really. But anyway, this one kind of melts in your mouth. It's really weird. It's very soft, tender, and was just different than any other liver. It has a very strong mineral taste, flavor. I don't know. It's really good. I like it, and you can notice the difference. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that she was storing these vitamins and minerals. And a lot of people, again, have gotten back to us saying how good the meat was. So this one is also not quite a month old. And let's try it. It's so weird. It tastes a little bit like the sweet and sour candy. I don't really know how to describe it. It's a minerally taste. Extremely tender. It just melts in your mouth. Tastes completely different than the lamb liver I just had. Sorry, let me swallow. All right, here we go. Less of the umami taste, at least not yet. You know, this flavor changes and becomes a lot more complex as you go along. But it's really good. Almost, it's so hard to describe these flavors because they're really nothing. They're not similar to anything else I've ever eaten. Sometimes, but I want to say it's almost chocolatey. It's really weird. There are a lot of different flavors. This liver is also goat's liver, different goat. Oh wait, is it the same one? I can't remember right now. No. Yeah, it's also Kane was her name. It's the same liver as I just had, but let me see if I can make a side-by-side comparison here. As you can tell, it's darker and it's further along in the process of fermentation, and that's because I took a chunk of liver that was already fermented and I put it in there, and you know, there was it was already populated with a lot of bacteria. It's like giving it a starter, right? If you start doing this serially in succession, you could save a little bit of the other meat, put it in with the fresh meat, and it'll turn a lot faster. You can even tell, I don't know if this makes a difference or not, but there's a little piece in there. Anyway, give me a second. Let me eat this one. Oh my. The texture's even softer, even though it's the same liver. You know, this one's more broken down. I don't know if you can tell. There's a bit of a darker rim edge around the liver, and the piece that I guess wasn't in contact or as much contact with the bacteria, the inside is still has more red tones to it. It's a little lighter. I think that's probably because of the fact that the jar is jam-packed and that I added the starter to it, which immediately started working on the liver, and it's taking it a while to get to the core. But it's just my assumption here. What else was I going to say about this liver? Yeah, it's just less minerally than the other liver. A lot more umami, a lot more flavors. It's richer. It's just further along in the process and closer to where I really want it to be, the optimal flavor. I shake it around, you know, stir it up. I don't let it sit. I heard some people say you want to air it out longer. You might want to try that. I don't know. I don't. And it's about halfway full again, but as I'm eating it, that surely changes. So that's another piece of Cane's liver. Here we got donkey liver. Now, normally, I guess I shouldn't say normally, but it's something to think about. You know, I'm using the same fork. I'm eating these various livers, so there's some cross-contamination, if you will, right? Oh, wow, that other liver I just ate, it just hit me now. Has a very spicy aftertaste. It burns the throat very, very slightly. Not much, but just a little bit. Very, very complex flavor already. It gets better. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I'm cross-contaminating this stuff, whatever. If you really want distinct flavors and you really want to, see a difference, if you're doing this like me, you may want to use a fresh fork every time, so on and so forth, or clean the fork. But I don't really care that much. We'll see if it makes much of a difference. This isn't exactly something you'd see on a cooking show, right? You're not gonna see a lot of people who have a ton of experience with this stuff talking about it. So it's all very experimental. Wow, that's kind of spicy. Weird. Anyway, excuse me. Funny, I just had a burp. I don't normally burp when I eat meat, but maybe this bacteria, it's just reacting, creating gases in my stomach. Just, I don't know, something I noticed. It happens when I will eat like broccoli or something. I just start burping immediately. Anyway, this is, if I hadn't mentioned it yet, donkey liver. And one time I had donkey liver raw, and it was just, the flavor was very strong and kind of off-putting. The second time, different liver I had, I don't know if I was just slowly acquiring the taste for it or if it was just different, but that one was a lot more mellow. They were roughly the same size, the livers, so it's not like it was a young and old animal, right? But maybe their diet was different, and they came from different parts of Ecuador, so on and so forth. I don't know. Fucking fly. Anyway, this is donkey liver. Oh yeah, you don't want flies to get in your jars and start laying eggs unless you want to eat maggots, which, to each his own. It won't hurt you. Anyway, donkey liver, here we go. Fishy. It tastes like fish, and then some. I don't get it, guys. It's the weirdest thing ever. It's very good. And acquired taste, no doubt, but delicious in my opinion. Wow, I'm gonna have another piece. The donkey liver, on average, is darker than goat lamb liver. It's more like beef liver, but also redder. And I don't know if that's because the meat we get here is like a day old, sometimes just a few hours old. Oh, also has that spicy aftertaste. Unlike in the States, some of the meat you get might be weeks, sometimes even a couple months old. I'm not sure about organs, but maybe that's why on average, it seems to be more red. Wow, that's spicy. What kind of bacteria is that? It tastes like fish. Kind of not fresh fish necessarily, but like pickled fish, right? Processed, fermented fish, if you will. There are other flavors there that are very hard to identify, at least right now, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, here we have goat heart. Now, heart seems to take longer than liver to turn, and this one's pretty fatty. Like this piece is almost pure fat. That's Cane's heart. I guess she had not I guess. I know she had a lot of visceral fat. What's interesting is that the fat around the heart is slightly yellowish, mostly white, but the fat around her kidneys and her belly is just yellow. Anyway, we're gonna eat a meatier piece for now. It started to turn just the other day. It looked very fresh and normal for about 2 weeks. Wow, that's spicy. Anyway, it just burns the throat, but maybe I'm a little more sensitive, I don't know, than most people. It's not the kind of spicy that burns your whole mouth. Anyway, the heart just started turning the other day. Let's have a piece. It's tougher than the liver, but by no means tough. The fat is a little funny. It's soft, but it doesn't melt in your mouth, right? I mean, it's not water soluble. I guess that's really what's happening. Maybe I should have had the heart first, because after all these strong flavors I just had, it tastes really mellow. What is this? A little bit of coagulated blood from one of the chambers, I guess. Yeah, it's really mellow. That's because, well, the heart, raw heart, is more mellow in flavor compared to the liver, and it's, I don't know if it just has fewer bacteria, different kinds of bacteria on it naturally. It's taking significantly longer. Oh, I totally forgot. I'm fermenting heart and pancreas. I guess it was a piece of pancreas I ate. Heart and pancreas together. I ran out of jars, otherwise I would have done it separately, but let me try this pancreas. The flavor of the pancreas is somewhere between the heart and the liver, but then it also has more of a bloody taste. Tastes a little bit more like blood. It's very interesting. This is the first time I'm eating it, actually. Wow, it has the texture of like a slug. It's kind of difficult to chew, while at the same time it melts in your mouth. It's so hard to describe. It's like there are tissues, fibers in there that make it difficult for it to punch through it with your teeth, bite through it. But every time you do bite into it, all this juice and like melted meat, whatever the hell, comes out, and the piece just keeps getting smaller in your mouth. It's kind of like chewing the flavor, the sugar out of chewing gum, except it's also getting smaller. It's really weird. I don't know. I decided just to swallow it because it would have taken forever to chew it. It's a little chewy, but it feels like if you just keep working it, it'll just get smaller and smaller and smaller until you end up with some tough fibers, tissues. Anyway, this is it. This is all the high meat I'm working on right now. Woo! It just hit me. It's weird, you get like this, and I suppose if you just keep doing this often enough, this sensation will become normalized so as to go away. I don't know. I guess we'll see, but yeah, I feel energized. It feels like my eyes are open wider than they were 20 minutes ago. It's difficult to describe. It's just, you're just kind of buzzing, you know, you feel energized. Anyway, that's the video. I wasn't hoping to make it this long. Anyway, that's essentially the video. You know, if I hadn't described the process for you well enough, that's because there really is no process or no universal process. Do it, experiment with it. One thing that I've heard predominantly is that you want to air this stuff out. But there are some people who don't air it out much, or they'll have the liver submerged in the juices and they'll still eat it, right? So, meaning it can't be getting that much air like that, right? So I don't know. Once again, this is just how I do it. I'm sure there are other ways of doing this. You could do this with other meats, experiment. Even though I'm eating this as we go along, ultimately, I don't know how long it's going to take to get to that flavor that I recall, to that richness and complexity where I believe it's ready for me. I don't know how long it's going to take, but last time I did it, it took 4 months. I don't think it needed to take that long, but that liver was exceptional. Oh, and I keep it in the fridge, but apparently you can do this on your counter. I don't have any experience doing this in warm weather because it tends to get very warm here, and then at night it tends, the temperature changes here are drastic. 30, 40 degrees. Yeah, maybe more like 35 at the most Fahrenheit. So I don't know how that would affect it. I'm sure it would ferment faster. But if you're in a more temperate climate where, it's cool, especially this time of year, you might just want to do it outside in your kitchen, like a cool pantry or closet or whatever. I'm not saying it has to be in the fridge. Experiment. See what works for you. See how you like it. One thing I wouldn't recommend, but this is just hearsay, I don't really know, is loading up the jars a lot and not airing them out sufficiently. Even though, like I say, I left mine for a month and didn't open it for about a month, and it was awesome. It was delicious. So, and it felt good. Anyway, long fucking story short, I think it's time to end this video. Thank you all for watching, and if you have any tips, personal experience, you've done this before, whatever you feel like contributing, drop me a comment. I am still experimenting and learning the process myself. All right, take it easy.